I'm like tired. Why would I do this at 7:30 p.m.? The things I do for y'all. I guess for myself, because nobody's watching this. But anyway, hello. Hi. We're going to be looking at this. Good Lord. We're going to be looking at this speed build of the restaurant that I made for my Japanese family in Sims. A previous video was me touring their house, but I wanted to actually record the process of them doing an actual build. Like, I wanted to actually record what it takes from like shell to the finished product. So that's what we're just going to review today. So yeah, you know, hopefully just some nice, relaxing content. Nothing too strenuous, but let's get into it. So here's the pretty much empty shell of this house. It's going to change a lot. Like, this was just basically a standalone shell, and all of the textures that I'm going to put in the first place are just testing out to see what works with the lighting and whatnot. Yeah, but I ended up using a venue change mod. This is actually in the same location the pre-made onsen is for this world. So if you wanted to place my restaurant here, you'd have to get the venue change mod, which is pretty simple and straightforward. But yeah, this is just me figuring out a lot of the textures. I really wanted to make this look authentic. I think I Googled like traditional Japanese restaurant, small Japanese like izakaya, like so many times just to see how I wanted things to look. And I think for the kitchen and the bathroom, I really just had to like end up winging it. Like, because when it actually came to, you know, things like that, restaurants really varied. I don't really remember bathrooms, and you don't get to see the kitchen. So it was more so about just creating an atmosphere, I would say. And I did want this place to have a bar, so a lot of this was like trying to figure out how to organize the space, because I wanted it to have a bar simply because if you put a regular counter in a restaurant, I don't think Sims can eat there. So I thought, okay, why don't I just put like, you know, something normal and something nice. And for the exterior, I did a few slopey roofs. There's actually like specific textures on the roof, but because it's on the mountain, it's always covered in snow. Like, it is all, everything outside is perpetually covered in snow. I just really wanted to have it be like warm and very wood heavy. So like, you know, wooden tables, wooden chairs, hardwood floors, wooden walls. And I thought that it wouldn't work. I don't usually put those kinds of things together, but all of the inspiration I found had that sort of like style. So I thought, okay, yeah, I'll make that work. And then I also really wanted to focus on using a lot of the items and furniture from specifically the Snowy Escape expansion, because they're Japanese style. So that was hard because they only have like a specific kind of swatch, and it's really hard to make all these different woods look cohesive. Like, I think you'll see later, I'm gonna struggle a lot with making the floor, the wall, the tables, and the chairs all match but still look kind of unique. And it was a real struggle because the windows are wooden too, and the doors to the bathroom and the kitchen are wooden, and the bar is wooden. It's a lot of wood. But I think that in the end I was able to make it work, but I am going to play with it a lot. What's interesting about restaurants in The Sims 4 is that they require specific items, so I had to make sure that a lot of the themes matched those items as well, which really sucks because they're not like Snowy Escape themed waiter tables. It's just waiter table, like waiter stations. Like, it's just waiter stations. This house was kind of hard for this restaurant was kind of hard. This restaurant was kind of hard for the exterior because these roofs are really temperamental, and they want to clip, and they want to like create random holes. So it was really important that I made sure that they were cohesive. To me, they don't look particularly like Japanese, but I think that so long as they just had like a pattern, that was all I was going for. The kitchen is pretty tight. I think we're in the kitchen now. Yeah, the kitchen was pretty tight. It looks huge here, but I'm going to like fill the space up so much. In all honesty, my favorite room in this place is the kitchen, and I think you'll see just how much effort I put into it. There's so much kitchen stuff. I have the cool kitchen stuff pack, and I also have the dine out expansion. So there's a whole lot of like little blocks and countertops and stuff that I could really add to this place. And I thought because it's a restaurant kitchen and it's kind of small, I wanted to clutter it but still make it fairly usable. And realistically, there's only one chef in here because you start with one chef in the game, and she really only stands at the chef station. But I thought that, you know, putting the special trash cans outside and putting like, I think at one point I had 2 refrigerators until I had a big storage unit, and all these cabinets and stuff, they really reflect what I think like a restaurant kitchen would look like. Like to me, it would be something that's kind of busy. And as you play the restaurant mod more, you can get more chefs. So eventually there will be 2 chefs working on the 2 stations trying to get food. But yeah, I added all sorts of clutter here, so many different things. Like I added like hanging spoons and hanging like knife racks. I think there are going to be 2 basin sinks. I love these basin sinks. They're also in my Japanese house, which is kind of stupid, but I think that they go good here. They're actually meant, they came in the kitchen pack, like they came in the restaurant pack, so they're actually meant to go into restaurant kitchens. Then I love the 2 basins, even though they don't use either of them, like they truly don't. A lot of this stuff is for aesthetic, like the 2 refrigerators and the racks and all that. I also think I put up a sign, and it's technically a sign that says like, don't take photos of the mountain, but to me, it's a big sign that says no phone. So I figured I'd put that because, you know, you're not supposed to have your phone at work. But yeah, I really do love the way this kitchen turned out. To me, it's my favorite because I put so much clutter into it without making it too busy, which is kind of hard, especially for me. I think I have like kind of a too much gene, so I end up doing entirely too much. Also, oh my god, wait. I went to the Japanese grocery store today. It's literally just called Calpise water, but it tastes like a mix between like Calpise sour. If you've been to Japan, then you know. And it also just tastes like the Calpico. It's so freaking good. Like, it's the best. I also got these really cute little green tea snacks. So like, I can't read this. It says shitori and then matcha. So it's basically like these little itty bitty like green biscuits. They look like little, like something you'd put in like your sink or something to freshen it up. But they're so good. And I got like a few other things, like I got the special ramens and stuff. Like, I'm such a weeb, and I've like infected all my friends. They go to the store with me now, and like all we do is like I buy stuff to cook with, like I buy curry or like soba noodles or just like ramen or whatever, but they're like, let me get the pocky. Oh my gosh, they have mochi. Oh my gosh, they have dango. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, they also have shit you can cook with. Like, I'm like, you guys should get the instant rice. You guys should get the little rice seasonings. You guys should get like shichimi. And they're like, no, I think we're just gonna get pocky. I think we're just gonna get like soba bread. I have no idea what soba bread is. Oh, this booth was the worst thing in the world. So when I was in Japan, my friends and I used to go to this, I think it's in America too, this place called Yukaku. And because we were a big group, they always put us in this sort of sunken in corner area for big groups. Shouts out that place, they really couldn't stand us. But I tried to create that here. Like, half walls in The Sims are the absolute worst thing in the world. Nothing would ever work for me. Changing the trim was really annoying. And then what really sucks is, you'll see it later in the video, but those chairs that come with the Snowy Escape Pack, they don't work with restaurant tables. If you want to have a booth seat, you have to use the specific booth furniture that comes with that pack. And it's the ugliest thing in the world. It looks like scratchy, sticky diner seats like you'd see in a diner. You'll see. I guess I had no choice, otherwise my Sims wouldn't be able to eat there. And it sucks because it's still not functional. Ideally I had it for 4 people, but the Sims restaurant thing is really, really stupid and glitchy. So what happens is they put 2 meals next to each other and one person will sit down but the other person has to scoot in. Sims will not let characters scoot. So someone just can't eat their food and then they leave because they're like, the prices are good, but I can't eat. How come the wait time is taking so long? And it's so freaking annoying. I absolutely hate it. But once again, this restaurant is mostly for the aesthetic, and like, it's going to be something that is stuck in my Sim family for a while. So I really wanted it to be like 100% functional. Also, those are dog treats. If you can tell, that's a jar of dog treats. Okay, don't come at me. I wanted to have clutter in the place, so I put dog treats. Another thing I should mention is that I didn't want this place to look too traditionally Japanese because the mountain is supposed to be like a touristy spot that everyone goes and visits. It's like a resort. It's got an onsen and it's got cabins you can rent. So even if you live in like Delso Valley, you can go and get a rental and still go skiing. So I thought that I would make this restaurant a tourist trap. So basically, even though it has like the Japanese aesthetic, and I think I made all of the waiters wear kimonos or like wear like traditional Japanese stuff, it's just because it's for entertainment, you know? Like imagine like there's this place in Japan called Jumanji, and Jumanji is like literally just a tourist trap. Like it's a club that a bunch of people who are not Japanese go to. And there are other places like that, like just in any sort of venue in Tokyo or in Kyoto or Osaka where people go because they're like, oh, I'm visiting Japan, let me go to this cool restaurant. So I wanted it to also be like that. And what's great is all the Sims who come to eat here are not from Snowy Escape. Some of them are celebrities. And some of them come from other packs, like other worlds. So they don't have, everyone in Snowy Escape has Japanese names, but they don't. And I think that really works because they show up in like their ski gear and they come in and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna eat at this cool, Japanese restaurant that's really nice. And I think that was, oh, there's those horrible couches. And I think I executed it decently. I feel like I went like a little too hard with this, even though I didn't have to. But I really miss Japan. And even though I can't say I've specifically been to a restaurant like this, it was really just a mashup of all the vague sort of memories I had of going to restaurants in Japan. So some of it might be like, oh, I recognize this from that. Like, I think I put posters on the wall of like specialty beverages, but I think they only do that. I only saw that in Korean restaurants. Like they put pictures of like idols and then it has like a huge bottle of soju. I don't remember seeing that in Japanese restaurants, but to me, I was like, okay, I went to a restaurant like that in Asia where they had posters on the wall, so that's what I want to do. And what sucks is like, in Japan, I feel like in Japan when you go to restaurants, it's really quick. Like they really want you in and out. But what sucks in The Sims is that it doesn't work that way. Like for some reason, when you have your restaurant open and Sims come to visit it, they take too long, they get out of their seats and they go and wander through places, which is really stupid and really annoying, and you have to like corral them like sheep. They'll leave the table after they place an order and then they'll go skiing, or they'll go to, there's like venues and stuff outside of my restaurant that I closed for a specific reason. They'll go check out the venue and then they won't eat their food, and the next person in line is complaining and they're like, how come the wait time is so long? I'm like, sorry, freaking Dina Caliente had to go make a snow angel for 10 minutes, so you're not gonna get your meal. Also, you're not in charge of like who you can hire as staff, so all of my staff are not Snowy Escape people, which I don't like. In my head, only people who are from Snowy Escape can work here because they're like from the area. But like, unfortunately, anyone who's homeless in The Sims who's actually not from Snowy Escape world is who you can hire, which is so stupid to me, but I guess it's so you never run into them in real life. But yeah, the idea I also had for this restaurant is like, it's a tourist trap, but it's between like a big ski resort and an onsen, and I think there's a cabin like right down the way. So I thought instead of just making it a restaurant, I wanted it to be like an actual little hub area. So, there's a restaurant and then there's a konbini, and I think there's one other business establishment. The konbini and the business establishment are literally just debug entities. Like if the Sim tried to go to them, she'd literally walk through one. And it's really awkward when my Sims go to make snow angels. Sometimes they make snow angels and they just clip through the building, but it's for the aesthetic. I also added just little details. You'll see when I do the landscaping when we get there, but I added a few other things. I think there's a couple food stalls, like a ramen stall and a something else stall, just so like, it's more than just a restaurant. People don't just come here and see a lone restaurant in the middle of the snow. Like I wanted it to be, oh look, there's a restaurant and there's a 7-Eleven and there's a like whatever, a McDonald's, and then there's, oh look, there's a couple little quick stands. That was really what I wanted to go for. I also put stereos in the main part of the restaurant and in the bathroom, and they exclusively play this like very slow traditional, it's called traditional Japanese folk, and it's not at all upbeat. I might change it to jazz, but I do like the theme. No one really listens to music while you're at restaurants. I put a little machine here because, this is a unisex bathroom, but look, pads and tampons should be in bathrooms in case you don't have any and you accidentally get your whatever. So I did that. And a lot of this is like additional little signage. Right now, I think I'm just putting in little bits of clutter. Like I'm making sure little details like papers or business cards, little menus on every table, all the paintings on the wall, the little bit of curtain on the wall, just things that give this place less of an empty feel and less of a cold feel. And then I put a back door in the kitchen that leads right to the trash cans because the room was awkward. It's the only reason. Also, I'm glad I did, because when you actually play with when you actually run the restaurant, they end up when you actually run the restaurant, they take the trash out constantly. And imagine if you're sitting at a restaurant and they start running trash bags through the front door. So I'm so glad I actually gave them a back door, and it's another exit in case there's a fire. So I think we're back now, and we're looking at the landscaping right now. The landscaping was kind of tough. I didn't actually make the decision to make it a busier venue until I saw the stalls. And then I was like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to put vending machines. We're going to put these ramen stalls so that this place looks a lot more, you know, filled in and less of a random sort of nowhere zone. I was just going to cover it with trees because I hate landscaping. It's really expensive unless you use debug. And debug is the worst because you can't replicate the items and you can't really find them and they don't behave the way you want them to. But I was like, okay, instead of landscaping with just stupid trees and big stupid rocks, how about I make this like an attraction area? How about I make this an attraction area? So that's what made me add the konbini and the other establishment on top of having the vending machines and the ramen shop. And then there are also a few things, you're going to see them when we get towards the end, but I added some other details, like this is a place right next to the ski resort, so I put a little rack that you could hold your skis in, and there's also 2 sleds stacked on top of each other, you know, to represent people that are like, oh, I just went skiing, I'm just gonna come down the mountain or whatever. It's literally, I can't show you, but it's right next to the entrance to get on the ski lift. So in my head, you get your skis after you've gone skiing for a couple hours, and you go here and you just relax or you unwind. You know, this is supposed to be the sit down spot between skiing and then going back to your hotel or going back to your cabin. And just because I love making ponds, I don't know what it is. I was never like this with The Sims 4. I always hated terraforming because making ponds or whatever, messing with the landscape and the terrain, it never goes the way you want it to. The ground always gets super lumpy, but I thought I would give myself a pond, and it feels so out of place because since it's technically a pool, it doesn't freeze, and it's got fish in it because I put the lily pads in it. But I was like, to heck with it. You know, these people worked hard for their restaurant, so if they want to have a cute little pond outside, they can. And I just like the aesthetic that ponds create. I really like and I put snow around it. You'll see it when I make the pond. I think I make that towards the end. Right now I'm just figuring out lighting, which is my least favorite thing to do on anything that's not attached to a building. Like if I have to put lighting around a lot, it's the absolute worst. I think I already deleted them. I had a whole bunch of street lights copied, but then they didn't look right and they didn't cast enough light because they were in debug. So it was just really freaking bad. So I was like, I'm just going to get these lights that come with the pack that you can pay for. And I think I put them in like all 4 corners of the build because at night you can sort of see, and that's good enough for me. And then I have these trees and like the sleds and all that, just a few little bouncy things. I think I start getting rid of stuff after a while too because I don't want the area to be cluttered. But this was a really like, not simple, but simpler build to make. And I think it's because I tried to keep it less cluttery and less like over the top. What I really wanted to do was just have, like there's a street sign. Like I just wanted to have a nice area that seemed, you know, like anyone could go there and anyone could enjoy their time there. But also I was trying to keep it with the theme of like the Japanese or whatever and like the snowy escape. I put snow everywhere too, which is really annoying because they mess with the snow now. They always want to make snow angels and like freaking shovel snow, and they're supposed to be working at the restaurant. It's so infuriating. It is so infuriating. But I think I did a pretty decent job with this. When I have the restaurant open, people kind of wander the area, which I hate. I used MC Command Center to try to fix that, but it hasn't really worked. But yeah, this build took like about a week, I would say, and I'm really proud of how it came out. I mean, it's one of the few builds where even though it's done, I still don't find myself wanting to change it, which is really good. And here are just some screenshots of the final creation. I'm really happy with how this build came out. I think that I really kind of outdid myself with everything. I think it's the perfect mix between like traditional Japanese and like hammed up for the tourist Japanese. It's also on the gallery now, so if you want to download it, you can. Entities and all the buildings in the back will be there. It's the whole lot. I didn't just upload it as one thing. You know, have fun with it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is my first time doing face cam. I don't think I looked at the camera at all, except for right now. But you know, yeah, maybe in another 6 months I'll make another one of these. Bye. Oh, that's ugly. Oh, God.
Lorraine.